right. Welcome back to another episode of The Real Deal Podcast with Mr. Cleon Deal and myself, Brandon Haley.
Happy to be here, man.
Welcome.
It's another week.
My favorite day. Nah, I'm actually lying. I'm not even going to cap. I ain't going to cap. I work on Saturdays.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to do during the week is be here on the podcast and hang out with you guys, whether it's 1, 2, 10 of you, whatever it may be. Appreciate you guys tuning in and watching. And today we are going to talk about part 5 of our red flag series.
Yeah.
Potentially the last part of it, unless we think of anything else. There's always so many red flags and
so many. Yeah. I mean, they all kind of bleed into each other a lot.
They do, yeah.
They kind of overlap and interchange.
They do. But the whole purpose of talking about them to you guys is to make you aware of the ones that you may have, or make you aware of ones that your partner may have, or the person you're talking to may have, and you're unaware of them because you hooked up with them early on in the relationship, and now you just so focused on that and all the red flags that actually happen, you are just ignoring. So that's the whole goal of this series.
Right.
And today we're going to talk about domestic violence / violence in relationships.
Trigger warning. Are we supposed to say that?
Trigger warning. Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Okay,
so, great. I originally wanted to get somebody who experienced some domestic violence on it and actually talk about it.
Okay.
Besides myself, you know what I'm saying? No, I'm kidding.
Fair. I mean,
guys can't get.
That's not true.
All right, this is the one. This is the one. The one red flag that guys actually can't experience from a female.
The one.
I
did a deal spiel, by the way, about gaslighting. Women gaslight. I just want to be clear on that.
Yeah, what is a deal spiel?
Deal spiel, man, is where we break down the episode in 5 to 7 minutes, man, just in case somebody may not have time to take the full 45 minutes to an hour that we have here.
Where can we watch these?
It's on the YouTubery, you know.
That's it? You didn't put on Instagram?
Why? I don't. Do you put 5-minute videos on Instagram? Do people do that?
We can do whatever we want.
I guess technically we can. We have free will, I guess. I don't think I didn't know people usually watch long form videos on Instagram.
I don't know. Yeah, definitely keep posting on YouTube. Maybe. The YouTube is at The Real Deal Podcast. W as in with. W.
Yeah.
Haley. BHALEY.
Yeah.
If you don't know the YouTube, the YouTube is also linked in our Instagram bio.
Right.
Real Deal Convos. TikTok, Real Deal Convos.
All of that.
In case you want to know. We made those that handle shorter, so it's easier for you guys to find, and then all the links are there.
Digestible, you know, easy. We just want to make it easy, like Sunday morning, baby.
And what's the deal of the day? The deal of the day is stop hitting people. Stop hating.
No, it says hitting.
Stop hating and stop hitting.
Stop hitting, stop hating, bro. Violence is not the answer.
Yeah, violence definitely isn't the answer. That is one thing for certain, that it'll only incite more violence.
Violence only incites violence.
Yeah, so violence is never the answer, so stop hitting.
Pretty sure Martin Luther King said that.
Smart man. Dr. Martin Luther King. Junior.
Yes, sir.
I call Torrey Hollywood Jr. He hates it.
What is he? Is he a junior?
I say he's my junior.
Oh my gosh.
I just think it's funny.
That's crazy.
All right. Next week is going to be, before we get to what we're going to talk about today, we just talking about random stuff. Next week is going to be the roast of Trey Furlong.
Is that what
he doesn't know that it's the roast?
Yeah, we didn't tell him yet.
We didn't tell him that part. We just are going to allow him to be on the podcast, and that's what we're going to do. So if you guys know that kid, then let us know what you want us to roast him on. But yeah.
Okay.
Other than that, I guess we got to talk about Shedeur Sanders because such an important topic that some people want us to talk about. So we're going to talk about it. Why did sucks he got drafted by the Browns? So sorry.
That's kind of the worst possible situation ever as a quarterback.
It's even more funny. I'm an Oregon Ducks fan, and I would have taken Shedeur Sanders over Dylan Gabriel, but it's even funnier that the same organization took Dylan Gabriel.
It just shows that the Browns have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
You use 2 draft picks on 2 quarterbacks
in like back-to-back rounds.
In back-to-back rounds.
Or it might have been 3rd and 5th. It was 3rd and 5th.
Third in the 3rd and 5th round, but I'm like, guys, you just wasted at least one of those because they're both not going to play. If you're going to draft a quarterback within the first 2 to 3,
they traded for Kenny Pickett.
He wasn't going to start. Nobody. He was like they're just creating this quarterback competition, but with 2 rookies involved in this.
Well, they also signed Joe Flacco to a 1-year deal as well. But obviously he's like for a backup.
I mean, sure, but
that's an interesting quarterback room.
They're idiots. The Browns are not a good organization, and that's why I feel bad for anybody who gets drafted there.
I do too, and it made it even worse because he went from top 5 to round 5.
Yeah,
in a matter of days.
It's pretty insane.
And I'm like, well, the good thing is I was thinking, at least the good thing is that, he'll most likely get drafted by a good team. Because he didn't go early.
Because you thought he was going to get drafted by the Steelers.
I was hoping. I was hoping 4th round. I'm like, that's a steal.
Yeah.
4th round. But they waited. They actually, I think, waited till the 6th round and drafted Will Howard from Ohio State.
Yeah.
Who beat my Ducks in the national championship.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah. So I guess I got to root for the guy now, which is like
unfortunate, huh?
Very unfortunate.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I think this year he slid because this year's draft class didn't have that many great elite quarterbacks, and there was like 9 or 10 drafted last year. So there wasn't that many organizations that have a dire need for quarterback, and the quarterback class wasn't that great. So that's why I think he just slid. Nobody was really needed it.
The problem with it is because and that was kind of my thing. I think every year there's a quarterback that gets taken way too early. Every single year, some guy pops out of nowhere who somebody takes a chance on. Who I'm like, I have no idea why you did that.
Yeah, and that's what the Steelers did with Kenny Pickett.
Correct.
And they're like, we're not doing that again. I was like, thank God we didn't.
So it's like it's usually some random guy out of somewhere. So like usually every year I'm like, gosh, why did you do that? So I'm like,
just make the team better.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, exactly. But then with this, I'm like, cool. I get that. There's like you said, it's not a crazy great quarterback draft class. Cool. Mm-hmm. And whoever you feel like is better than the other, it can go kind of either way. So obviously they take Cam Ward goes number 1. All right, cool. No problem.
Yeah, I think he's going to be good.
Yeah, ideally. I hope he is. And then basically, so you have him, and then you had that kid out of the quarterback from Ole Miss, Jackson Dart, who was the second quarterback taken. So arguably, okay, cool. You can argue maybe those 3 are somewhere in the same ballpark. Cool. But then you get to this guy from Louisville, this 26-year-old quarterback.
Yeah, that was actually I never even heard of that kid's name.
I'm like, okay, all right. Yeah. So now this is getting weird. And then they draft Jalen Milroe from Alabama.
I do like Jalen Milroe. He's really fast.
He is really fast, but just looking at him as an NFL quarterback to take him over Shedeur Sanders is crazy. As far as mechanics go, as far as him just throwing the football,
I would have taken Jalen Milroe.
You're insane. And
that's what a lot of people said about Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson was slinging it when he was in college. This is a very different thing.
They wanted him to be a wide receiver.
Yeah, and that's because they're slow. Exactly. Lamar Jackson was throwing the ball very well. Jalen Milroe, just based on just looking, I'm like, but as far as who's better, that's what I'm saying. Cool, take him as a quarterback if you want to. You're insane.
He played in a.
If you
got to look at Colorado went 4-12 their first year.
Yeah, they went 0 whatever the year before.
Yeah.
So what did we expect? They went 4-12 the next year, and then they went 8-4.
You know what's funny? This kid's a 5th round draft pick and got his jersey retired. No conference champions.
Nothing.
I don't even know. Did they get a bowl win? Maybe a bowl win.
I don't know what the requirements are for getting your jersey retired.
I don't know. I don't know. Did this cool thing on the iPad that it just did fireworks. How did I do
it does that all the time. When, like certain things, I think it'll like look at your hand motions. If you do like a thumbs up, it'll put a thumbs up on there or something like that.
Yeah, thumbs up. Yeah. But it just literally did fireworks. How do you do that?
I don't know, man. I just work here, bro. I don't know how
I want to recreate it.
I don't understand.
All right, I'm gonna rewatch that and see how the heck I just did that, because I thought that was pretty cool. All right, what else?
I don't know what else is happening. Yeah, I just thought I think that was crazy. I think all the GMs got together and was like, all right, we're not going to draft him. That's my final take 100%. On it.
Well, a lot of teams already said that they didn't like him from his pre-draft interviews and stuff like that.
Yes, I don't know.
I'm not in the NFL. I'm not an NFL GM or owner or anything like that. At this point, it is what it is.
I guess so, yeah. It's just stupid for the Browns to take him after already drafting a quarterback. They have so many areas where they suck in. Why draft 2 quarterbacks?
He went to the quarterback graveyard.
Exactly. That's where quarterbacks go to die. That's very unfortunate.
So good luck and Godspeed to him. Maybe it'll be different because they got 2 rookies and, they'll be trying to battle it out.
So. They're going to trade one of those guys. They have to. And hopefully they try and get something for him. That's the only thing I see happening here.
I'm just sorry if you're a Browns fan. I mean, Steelers fans, we haven't had anything to cheer for.
I mean, you guys always have a winning season. So you got
we always have the 20 or 21st pick in the first round. It's so great.
Yeah.
And if we waste it on a bad quarterback, then we just have no first round picks in the last. Our first round picks have been terrible the last 5-6 years.
Yeah, man. It's tough stuff.
But it could be worse. You could be a Browns fan. So,
it could always be worse.
With that being said, let's hop into Red Flags, Part 5. Today, we're going to talk about domestic violence. Talk about a couple of stories that have been in the news pertaining to domestic violence. And I want to talk about the less intense, less dramatic one.
Okay.
Which would be the Jonathan Majors case that started, maybe it was like 2 years ago or so. Yeah, it's been a little while, a year and a half ago. It was, I was really invested at that time because it was like right around the time that, my stuff was happening. So I was like, oh, super, super invested. Because it was very, very similar scenario, except for the fact that he actually left the scene. But if you guys know the Jonathan Majors case, what was his girlfriend's name?
Grace Jabari.
Grace Jabari. Yeah, that's what it was. Grace Jabari. I was following this heavy because I was a big Jonathan Majors fan because he was up and coming in
Marvel.
Not only Marvel, but
I guess a bunch of things.
Just in acting.
Yeah.
He had a lot of roles. He's a super great actor. He played in Creed, great actor in there, and that wasn't even one of his best ones. He played in The Bigger They Are. It was a movie that went on Netflix.
The Harder They Fall is what it's called.
Yeah,
you did the first part.
I did the part that's not in the title, but Harder They Fall.
That was a good movie.
That was an excellent movie. That was, I think, the first movie I saw with him. Like, who is this guy? I was like, he's a great actor. So definitely recommend those. And then he was obviously, I'm a huge Marvel nerd, and that they introduced him as the next big bad.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, all right. And then he's such a great actor in the Loki series, and then Ant-Man Quantumanium he was in, which didn't get great reviews, but his acting was great. The movie itself didn't get great reviews. I thought the movie was decent. But anyways, I was really invested because of his role in Marvel. And long story short, they eventually released him of his role in Marvel because of his conviction. And to give you the cliff notes of the story, basically he's out with his girlfriend. Black men don't cheat. She goes to his phone, whatever.
Hold on, just real quick. Just real quick.
That was a lie.
Come on now, man. Let's be clear.
Basically, the fight started. Just threw all black men under the bus right there. Sorry, guys.
We don't cheat.
Black men don't cheat. Basically, she goes to his phone, whatever. She's mad. A fight ensues. There's video evidence.
Do you know what the text message said that she read?
No idea. Something. I have no idea. Something probably not good.
It said something like a text message from a girl saying something like, "Oh, how I'd love to kiss you," or something that. Yeah. I'm like, this is such old people flirting.
Yeah, right. Maybe it was Megan Good because he's engaged to Megan Good now, and Megan Good is definitely older than him. Which, I mean, hats off, man. Yeah, that's a good.
If you're gonna leave your girl, leave her for Megan Good.
Yeah, but obviously they were already having problems.
Right.
Him and Grace Jabari like met on the set of a Marvel film, I believe.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, I believe that's how they met. I want to say that's how they met.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly. But anyways, long story short, they get into an argument. You can't really see what's going on. They're in the back of a car. The next thing you see is they're in an argument. He gets out of a car and she tries to get out. He forcefully puts her back into the car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because she's trying to get out. And then she gets out and starts, they like walk across the street and then something happens and he just starts running. You just see a black man run down the street. Jonathan Majors.
From this white lady.
Yep. And there's cameras that basically see the whole thing. And obviously, guys are way faster than women. So he gets away from her. And then she ends up going out with other people and stuff. Whatever happens in the night happens. He goes to a different hotel. She goes back to their penthouse suite. In the morning, he comes back to the penthouse suite and she's naked in the walk-in closet.
No.
And he doesn't know if she's alive or not. So he's like, he like freaks out for a
That's
second.
like from a movie. That movie that Beyonce was in. Actually, the same sort of thing. Her, Idris Elba, and another white girl. Yeah. Same sort of thing.
You're a black wealthy man. You gotta watch out for these white girls, guys. And then he calls the cops because he's like worried for her health,
right?
You know. And then basically the cops get there and they end up arresting him,
yeah,
because she has like a broken finger and a cut on the back of her head. So she obviously is saying like, oh, like putting all the blame on him,
yeah,
essentially. So domestic violence act, which I personally don't think that that's enough evidence. But then there was more evidence. This is this is speculation based on videos that I watched, that the cops were not persuading, but leading her to say that like she was hit, choked, things like that to make the charges worse. So he got arrested on felony charges for domestic violence, like strangulation, and battery's a misdemeanor. But there was another one that was like a felony. The trial happens, and they clearly not going to get a real trial based on a felony. They're not. There's no way they can charge them with a felony. So what they go to court for is like some small misdemeanor.
Yeah.
You got
initially charged with a misdemeanor assault and harassment. That's what he was.
That was what they charged.
Oh, that's what he ended up being charged.
That's what they ended up. But when he originally got arrested, there was some felonies, and I think strangulation was one of them. But when they went to court, they lowered them down because obviously, if you go to court and I'm trying to charge you for this, there's no way that the jury is going to see that. But because they went to court with such small things like, oh, you hurt me, or you verbally abused me, then it's easier for the jury to be like, oh, yeah, I can see how he could have unintentionally hurt her by his forceful action. But that's still domestic violence. So long story short, that's basically what he ended up getting charged with and convicted of, was like some sort of battery that is a misdemeanor, but it's unintentional harm on her.
Yeah, basically when I guess she had like tried to grab his phone, or she saw the message, he like grabbed her hand and then ends up fracturing her finger.
Allegedly, which that could happen.
Yeah, I mean, sure. That's what I guess.
At the end of the day, like, this is my property and you can protect your property.
Sure. That's fair. But obviously her coming out of it with a fractured finger just does not look good. It's kind of what the thing is.
That's why he got That's why there was a conviction of that.
It said that she also had a cut behind her ear. I'm not sure how that one got there.
I mean, she was drunk and out and like blacked out, woke up butt naked in the closet, in the walk-in closet. So who knows?
Yeah.
She could have fell into the closet and cut it. She could have fell into the closet and broke her finger or did something like that too. Doesn't necessarily mean that. I don't know how I'm going to break your finger grabbing my phone back.
Well, because I guess
Jonathan Majors is a big dude.
He is a big dude,
but it's not like you can grab your phone back without
if
doing that.
She grab it and he grab her whole hand or something like that. Apparently, he also twisted her arm behind her back. Apparently, also,
if he did, he's a big dude. If he did that, he probably would have really hurt her. So
I don't know.
There would have been a little bit more, but. I tell you that story to say that there are stories of domestic violence that some are not as bad as others, obviously. And I side on the side of Jonathan Majors because he basically lost his career. And let you guys know, had this had been somebody that didn't have as big of a name as Jonathan Majors, this one have went to a court. Like for the charges they brought to trial or to court, they would have never even been a case. It would have just been dismissed. But because of who he was, that's the reason why it actually went to court. And because the whoever's in charge of the court stuff in New York had a vendetta out to make a example out of him, that's the only reason why I went to court. Anywhere else, these small little charges, like he literally got convicted of, there was 4 things they charged him with. He got only convicted of 2 of them. And they were basically like unintentional harming and like harassing, unintentional harassing or harassment and unintentional harm. That's what he got charged with.
Mm-hmm.
So basically it's like, if I did something to you and I accidentally hurt you, I'm getting a charge on my record. And because he got charged, even with something that's so small and so stupid, and I encourage you guys, if you disagree with me, to go and actually do some research on it. He literally lost basically lost his entire Marvel deal, and what their plans at the time were for him to be the next big bad. They kind of pivoted it to being RDJ's Doctor Doom.
Mm-hmm.
He's apparently supposed to be in the next Avengers very briefly, just so they can close that storyline. So hopefully in time they'll bring it back, because he's been this happened like over a year ago, the actual conviction, and he got dropped from that, and then everybody was dropping him as the lawsuit is, because obviously it's bad publicity and nobody wants to have it. But fellas, you got to really watch out, and then ladies, we gonna tell y'all really got to watch out for the fellas here soon. But especially if you're in a position of power with money and respect and stature in a business, like, you have to watch out who you allow into your life, because at any point in time, like this, Jonathan Majors' career was skyrocketing so fast, and just like that, it didn't end. He definitely will make a comeback, but it halted his momentum, and he was on like that Michael B. Jordan trajectory momentum of like blowing up. And that's why he was in Creed, getting signed to Marvel, and he was playing every single variant of his character. So nobody else was allowed to play his character. So he was going to be in so many different films and making so much money. But it all got stopped just like that. So your actions outside of your job definitely matter. And like we say all the time, just stay away from the girls that you meet in your workplace anyway. So and I believe that's where they met.
That is nice. I don't know if that's the moral of the story here.
No, moral of the story is be aware of the women that you bring into your life, which is so hard to say, but it's
well, also don't cheat if you're gonna get caught. Let's just that's where this came from. He was doing some things he wasn't supposed to do.
If you want to cheat, just get up out of there. Get up out of the relationship. Don't keep her around, because then you're going to make somebody go crazy.
Yeah, and that's what he said in an interview. He was like, if I should have left the relationship, I shouldn't. You know what I'm saying? And also, I'm like, why are these text messages even open while you're sitting in a car next to it? Like, I don't condone cheating, but if you're gonna do it, don't be stupid about it. Yeah. Why are you texting this woman right beside the woman that you're with? That's insane.
Yeah, that is.
Like at this point in my life, I'd expect my girl to try and reach over and like, hey, what is that? Or say something about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, how I'd love to kiss you.
Am I seeing what I'm? Am I really?
Am I tripping? Because what are we talking about right now?
We both about to be tripping here in a minute.
Yeah, and so you know what I'm saying, you gotta be mindful of this. Don't you know what I'm saying? Don't cheat.
He must have been really on his high horse. Just about, I don't care. You know? Yeah, you're not Drake. All right, you're not Drake.
I mean, when you get to a certain point, man, I guess you care less about who goes in and out because you know.
But you gotta still communicate it.
I mean, yeah, and I agree
if that's what you want to be in, but clearly that's not what they were in. They weren't in no platonic, like you can talk to whoever. It wasn't an open relationship. So
correct.
That's
yeah, you know,
very unfortunate, but he'll make a comeback. But that's like a smaller case of domestic violence that can get blown out of proportion. And that's I want to say very similar to mine, but it is similar to my story. So that's why I was so invested into it. And that's why I was like, on his side, you know what I'm
saying? this is your trauma forcing you to side with him.
Yeah, mine. Thank God, mine never even, everything got dropped. Thank the Lord for that. So I never even had to go through the process of being in a trial or anything like that.
This makes me think I could have filed a lawsuit for domestic violence that time, where the girl has slapped me in the parking lot 5 times.
Has she lived with you?
I think so.
So
by that time,
yeah. So it depends. The law in Florida is if they have lived with you and it's been a
you know all about this.
Oh yeah. Trust me, I went down learning everything.
Was the law?
Never let a woman live with you. That's another lesson.
That's the moral of the story.
Until you're married, that's never let a woman live with you, because that is one of the main components in it, whether they're going to arrest you or not.
Right.
Is obviously there has to be some sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Probable cause.
Okay.
But if you never live with them, they're going to hear your side of the story. Like when I got arrested, there was no, hey, let me hear your side of the story. Let me watch all the video evidence that you have with all your cameras. It was just, let's go. I was like, huh?
Somebody on this TikTok live said, "What about 2 women?" No, the answer is no.
What about 2? What?
I think you said when you said never live with a, don't move in with them. What about God. 2? You're crazy.
No. I mean, unless it's like you're not romantically involved with them.
Sure, I guess.
Don't. Yeah, keep your life separate as long as possible, because if it's the one for you and you're going to get married to her, then your life's about to be. You're about to be together 24/7.
What's the rush? You know?
Yeah, there really ain't no rush. So really, man, yes, just don't. And this is what I learned about myself. How I got into that situation is because I'm such a giver and such a people pleaser.
Yeah.
That I was just trying to be such a helper, and it just made so much more sense given that situation, where I was like, why don't you just move in with me? You're going to save money.
Oh,
it's going to be better for, you think. And then I mean, good things came out of it. You know, I don't drink no more. So, and
it's a shame that's the thing that, you know what I'm saying?
That led me down, you know, the path that I'm on now. And, you know, I want to change it for the world.
Right.
But sometimes you got to go through it. But unless you want to go through one of them kind of lessons that I went through, just don't live with them. And I'm the kind of person that, like, when I'm with somebody, like, I want to make your life easier than mine.
Right. Ideally. You know? Right. That's ideally the purpose. You know,
and that's what I was trying to do. But don't try and do that too fast, fellas.
Yeah, man. Gradually. Baby steps
on your life. Like, at the end of the day, you still have to be 2 single individuals in a relationship. And what I mean by 2 single individuals in a relationship is you need to focus on your life. You need to go to work. You need to keep building. You need to get better at whatever it is you want, whatever else you want to learn. If it's a new business, whatever. You have to continuously grow,
right?
Learn new skills, keep reading. Just as she has continuously grow, learn new skills, keep reading, focus on her career. It's not like oh, hey, we're dating. Let me take you out of your job. You come move in with me and let me take care of you because I can. No, you still have to keep your life separate and they have to keep their life separate. And then you work on your relationship together. Your life, her life, relationship. It's not relationship and life together. What else you got to say?
Yeah, man. I mean,
there's the deal of the day.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, we can have that as the deal of the day. But yeah, man, at the end of the day, just pace yourself, man. These things, I feel like it's important to see somebody in all of their phases before taking certain steps.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never seen somebody angry the first time that they're angry, you don't want that to be in close quarters with you when you have nowhere to go. You need to be able to leave at least the first time until y'all figure that out. And if that's not if they don't conduct themselves in a way that you feel like you're going to be able to handle, then that's not somebody that you should take that next step with. But you got to be careful on that, man.
Yeah, 100%. And the biggest thing is make sure you can leave.
Where
I messed up is I was too drunk to drive, so I couldn't leave. And that was the last time I ever drank. So learn a valuable lesson there. Had I been a little bit more responsible to where I could drive, then
couldn't take an Uber.
Where am I gonna go?
Oh yeah, I guess this was at your house. I forgot.
I forgot. I'm gonna take an Uber. I probably would have just drove somewhere and stuff in the car.
Just called another girl. I'm joking, guys. Guys, relax. Everybody, relax.
All right, John.
That's a joke.
A young little Johnson.
Could you imagine having to have a spat with your girl and you're like, I need to get out of here. Hey, where you at right now? Can I Uber to your crib?
I mean, I did call another girl.
It'd be like that. It's funny.
But it was Emily. I was talking to Emily.
Connolly?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean to say her last name.
Shout out Emily. Yeah. I'm like, she's like, are you okay? I'm like, save me. She was literally the last person I was FaceTime, and I'm like, save me. And then I wake up in jail.
Why didn't you call me?
I don't know. No, because we were supposed to meet her out. Like she was going to be out, and apparently after we had her birthday dinner, we were going to go to Penthouse. And we were at Penthouse for a total of like 10 minutes. And Emily was like, oh, I'll come meet you guys. And we had left by the time she got there. So that's why I was already in conversation with her.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually called another girl too that night where when I had that dust up.
What up?
So like I said, that dust up when that girl slapped me. Those times in the parking lot, I'd called another girl actually that night. They was about to jump her, but I called one of my homies from back in Maryland. Actually, is who I called to talk. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, what was I supposed to do in this situation?
Run.
Which run, but where? My car is here. You know what I'm saying? We were at a party, at a little house party or whatever.
I think it's tough. You just got to see the signs early.
Well,
and if they're physical with you early, they're gonna be physical.
That's the thing. She hadn't been up to that point. That was the first time. Because I'm like, she's not like, you have some girls that grew up they whole life fighting with people. So, it's probably in her somewhere. She had never at any point put her hands on anybody in her life. And she decided that me, the very nice, kind gentleman and scholar that I am.
Maybe it was too nice.
Is that what it was too? It was sweet. She thought it was sweet.
It could have been.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's what that was, man. Dang. She thought I was soft. That's crazy.
Probably.
That's heartbreaking. But hope she's doing well today. That's where I'm at with it.
And the next story for domestic violence is a lot more serious. And do you watch the video on it?
I did.
So domestic violence is one of those things where it could be very, very light and not as bad, or it could be super, super bad and it can end in death. So it's very important to see signs early on. And this is going to be with somebody, when you're talking to somebody, just seeing how emotionally intelligent they are and how they handle themselves in high pressure situations and how they handle their anger management.
Mm-hmm.
If it's somebody that's consistently super, super angry and super, super mad, you probably want to be aware of that and get out, run.
Ideally, right?
never talk to them again, block them on everything, and get up out of there. But you could also make the mistake that I did, and which is funny because everything kind of coming full circle at this point in my life, but not talk to the girl who was kind of angry and talk to the girl who's really sweet at the beginning, but who
she hit you with the okey doke on that?
Hit me with the wait, what?
She tricked you, man.
First time I ever seen that behavior, I was like, ain't no way, is this real life?
You gotta see it, man. It's in the eyes, dog. It's in the eyes.
Bro, I'm telling you,
man. I remember this dude tried to tell me, he's like, oh, my girl's crazy. I looked at her, I was like, no, she's not. I was like, you haven't been in the trenches. Yeah. You haven't been there with a real warrior yet, man.
But it was like at this time of my life, it was
yeah, you were a different guy, man.
Yeah. And then there was a girl who was like, who got mad at me, and I feel like, oh no, why are you getting so mad? But it was like not like real mad. You know how girls get when they're like just kind of mad at you, but they're not really mad at you.
What was she mad about?
Something stupid.
No,
like
okay.
Because right. I was drunk.
Are you invalidating her feelings right now?
No. Okay. No. Because that's the.
That's one of those, it's one of those red flags we were talking about.
That's the girl that I know now. So anyways,
the girl that I know now. It's okay. We don't have to. We won't go into whatever that means.
You know,
you knew her then. I don't know how is she the girl you know now.
That I'm talking to, that I'm chatting with.
Oh, chatting with. Yeah. Conversing.
So that's why I was like, it's funny how it comes full circle.
Okay. Well,
but yeah, I was like, let me go for the nice, sweet girl, but that ended up being the one that.
Yeah,
it was a little aggressive at times. It's the first time I ever seen that behavior. I'm like, oh my God. And I felt this is where you can't do what I did. I felt like I was too invested into the relationship to leave.
And that's unfortunate because a lot of people do feel that way. And so they stay.
And think that you can fix them and that will get better.
And a lot of people had way more stock in it than you did at the time. Some people already got married and had kids and stuff like that. God. And then they feel like you can leave. You know what I'm saying?
But I didn't. So when you are, if you're married and you got kids and then they flip the switch and then they start being aggressive and stuff. Yeah, then you got to seek counseling and therapy. 100% seek counseling and therapy if that's going on. But if it's early on into the dating stages and this happens, it's going to be tough. But you're going to have to slowly distance yourself.
Hit them with the fade out, baby.
I'm not saying just cut the cord completely, but hit them with the fade out.
Hit them with the fade out.
Start to slowly distance yourself from that person in that situation and see if it's something that you really want to be in. Because I just felt like I was too invested. And what I mean by too invested, it was, she was already all over my social media. We're hanging out every day, saying the L word and all that kind of stuff. Oh, at that point.
How long do you wait to tell a girl that you love her?
That's a good question.
Now, how long do you wait? Not how long do you wait? How long do you wait? How long had you been in this before you started telling her that you loved her?
That one?
Yeah.
Oh, that was probably way too fast. That was probably like 2 months.
2 months?
Yeah.
Jeez.
That was probably way too fast.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was just like one of those things when it's just sucked in and we're both in it for the long ride until that stuff started happening. I'm like, what's going on here?
2 months. I might not know your middle name after 2 months.
I don't know if it was two. I mean, we had known each other for a lot longer than that, but I mean like 2 months of dating.
Yeah.
Like boyfriend, girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been. I doubt it was any longer than that. Maybe 3 months.
Right.
But I doubt it's probably 2 months.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I want to say, definitely.
And you said it first?
I don't remember. Not all the time. I might have.
The first time.
No, I'm just saying not in all my relationships have I said it first.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you're gonna say, I feel like it needs to be like a special moment the first time you say it, which is not when you're having sex. That's not a special moment I'm talking about. Don't be saying that when you're having sex, because that's a physical connection right there.
Slipped out.
That's not an emotional connection.
It was an accident.
Stop telling people that you love them when you're having sex with them, guys. That is ridiculous and childish. I don't really remember, but I think that it should be. It just got to feel right when you say it. I don't know.
Got to feel right when you say it.
Just got to be a special moment. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it anytime soon. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, to get back to the topic, the next story, the next story is the Gabby Petito story, which, ironically enough, the year that I got arrested, which was 2.5 years ago, this Gabby Petito story changed and revolutionized how they handle these arrests now in for domestic violence, which this happened in Florida, and I think this story for Gabby Petito happened about 5 months before I got arrested. So they were on like high alert. So at that point, there was nothing I could have done or said anyways. It's like, hey, domestic violence, someone's 100% going. Now it might have relaxed a little bit since it's been over 2.5 years to maybe they hear both sides of the story. But at the time, that had just happened. So there was no, we're not going to talk to you. You're just coming to the station. But Gabby Petito, rest in peace. Terrible, terrible story. And this is where you never want to, if you have a daughter, you never want to have your daughter be in a situation. You never want to have her choose a guy that is going to be this, there's choice words that I'm not allowed to say on a podcast because it's a lot of cussing. But this loser of a human being, wasted flesh that this guy was walking around in. Well, it's just terrible because if you watch the documentary, there was no justice served because he ends up taking his own life. And that's the part that's like, if I'm a parent, you want to see that justice being served a little bit and not just, he just took the easy way out. And, there's a place in the afterlife for people like that. And that's where he'll be for eternity, paying for his sins. But the story starts off. Did you watch the summary?
I watched two different ones.
So tell us what you got. Just to summarize basically this story and maybe some early signs that you saw in his behavior where she should have ran.
So basically, I watched the Lifetime and the CW version. The Lifetime was like all feelings and vibes. The CW one kind of had a little bit more actual information to it. So if you're not familiar with the story, which by this time most people are,
it's a documentary on Netflix as well.
On Netflix as well. But basically, Gabby Petito was a young lady who got into a relationship with this man who essentially was kind of like her high school sweetheart. They were together for a few years, and then at some point they decided that they were going to, during the COVID era, a lot of people were doing this thing where they were living out of vans. So during this time, she's consistently posting on social media, kind of posting her life while they were together. They're posting together and all that other fun stuff. And then they decide they're going to embark on this road trip as well, and decide to live out of a van and travel to different places, as a lot of people were doing at the time. Now, before they had embarked on this, apparently they had, I want to say, one or two domestic issues to which what was this guy's name? The loser. Where basically they had some tension in their relationship because of the fact that he apparently was fairly jealous and controlling, and she had a friend,
we talked about those red flags.
We talked about that.
If you don't handle those red flags, they could lead to this one, which could lead to
a lot of
you not breathing anymore. Yeah. So this is why like red flags is actually very important to understand.
Right. Yeah, so basically, what happened was that she had a friend who he wasn't very fond of, and he didn't like her hanging out with the girl for whatever reason. Apparently, I guess when they would argue, she would go to, which the friend was a girl, so it wasn't like it was another guy, but obviously it doesn't, for certain people, it doesn't matter who it is.
So crazy.
Yeah. So he didn't like that at all. So they had some issues. Apparently, there was an instance where when they had gotten into an argument, he had like pushed her, she slapped him, and then she like ran out, took the keys or whatever the case is.
Yeah, while they're on their journey, and then
this happened before.
Oh, there was another one on. Was it?
Yeah. So yeah, there was another one too. So this happened before they decided to do this whole van thing.
Oh,
so
wow.
yeah, so they already had this where she would be talking to her friend and it's like, hey, he gets really angry sometimes, and blah 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 blah. And obviously, once, like we talk about, when you see those signs early, that is a perfect time to leave. But at that time,
it's easier said than done.
Obviously, way easier said than done. Unfortunately,
you have to understand the consequences of dealing with a guy or girl.
Yeah,
I guess it could happen that way. Dealing with a guy that is his emotional intelligence is so low to where the fact that he's trying to control your every move, the people that you hang out with, and he gets jealous, mad. You literally can't live a life at all. You have to be afraid of these people.
Yeah.
And if, let's say, you're a friend and you have one of your girlfriends telling you about a person like this, then you need to get in there and save them as best you can. So that way, a situation like this, obviously this is one of the most extreme, but it's not uncommon.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I don't want you to think that like this is like a super uncommon case just because there's like one documentary on Netflix about it. If you do your research, there's a lot more crazy stories about this kind of stuff. Like, we actually worked with a person literally in life insurance that did this to were they married or engaged?
Yeah, something like that. Engaged.
He literally, because he was a controlling, jealous guy, he ended up killing his fiance in front of their daughter. And because of that, because she chose this person, and I'm sure there were signs to get out before that. Now their daughter is going to be growing up without both her mom and her dad.
Yeah.
And that's just a sad reality.
Yeah.
Our decisions are very, very important when it comes to who we choose to stay with and build a life with. So it's very important that we understand that, because these kind of stories aren't out of the ordinary. It's just there's not many on Netflix.
Yeah.
Or there might be, I don't know. But this is just a more popular one that had happened within the recent years. And it's some serious stuff. It's scary, So if you see these signs, it's not love. You're going to find something better, and you might be afraid of being lonely, or you might think that this person's the one. I promise you, if they're that controlling, a person who loves you is going to let you be free. That controlling, that jealous stuff, that's all toxic behavior. A person who loves you is going to let you go do whatever you want, whenever you want. I mean, within reason.
Hold on. that was a stretch.
All right, let you have a life. Let you have a life. Obviously, there's respect and boundaries. It's not like,
yeah, of course.
It's not like he's going to be like, hey, yeah, go on a date with these 5 dudes at the same time. Yeah, no, you know what I'm talking about, guys. But go out with your girls, go on trips without them, go on girls' trips, be with your family, little things like that. Like, when you're controlling and getting into somebody else's life, like, it could get messy and get to a situation like this.
Right.
And that's all I got to say on that right now.
Yeah, so basically from there, even after that first dispute, they decided to go on this trip together. And what they talked about is that her social media post started to change a little bit. They started to include him less and less. And then his post started to become a little bit more cryptic, talking about things like he loves the scenery, but there's just this infestation of like people around that ruins it. And things of that nature. So you're getting 2 people posting separately that are together, right, with kind of mixed messages that are going out. And then
so would you say that that's a sign?
That absolutely another sign, because obviously if me and you, right, are at a place and it's just me and you there, and I tweet, I love it here, I just hate the people that are around me. You know what I'm saying? That you know what I'm saying? That would
technically that she's around him.
Exactly. It's just her. They're out in the mountains somewhere. It's not like it's a bunch of, they're in a crowded area.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So obviously it's one of those things to where if I'm back home and I know my sister is out and I'm like, what's he talking about? You know what I'm saying? He is he straight? You know what I'm saying? I noticed that you're not posting him anymore. I noticed he's making posts like this.
Yeah.
I got a few questions. And so I think that did raise some red flags for the family back home. And then obviously at some point they had stopped hearing from her. And then obviously then he ended up back with the van that she bought
by himself. Yeah. So he,
which is insane, by the way.
Killed her out in the fort or wherever they were at. They ended up finding her body and stuff
out in Wyoming.
Yeah, went through TikTok and other people who were doing that same kind of van life and stuff.
Right.
Thankfully for that, so they could at least found her body. But they basically determined that he had ended up killing her, and then
strangulation.
Yeah, and then after they were onto it, he left, ran away, killed himself, left a note trying to say that he didn't do it, something like that. Left a note.
Yeah, he was trying to do a lot of things to cover it up. He apparently was also sending text messages back and forth from both phones and stuff like that to try and make it look like, you know, she was being rude to him.
What psychos do.
Yeah.
So, is there anything? See, that situation like that is just so. It's always like, what could I have done to stop it? Were there any signs that I saw that I could have saved her for like the people closest to her?
Right.
Because if that happened to somebody close to me, those would be the first thing I'm saying.
Yeah.
What were the signs? How could I have saved her? And I think in this situation, I mean, I guess that's a sign of basically how they started posting separately.
Yeah.
But also the stuff that happened before they went on the trip. If your friend, because your friend circles, you usually talk about these kind of things. If you have this is to ladies. If you have a girlfriend that's telling you guys that their dude slapped them, like, you need to go in and save her. You need to get her out of there.
But so here's the flip side.
If you do
it
once, you're going to do it twice, and if you do it twice, you're going to do it 3 times. And at that point, it's a habit, and it's just going to get worse and worse from there.
The other side of that, though, is that obviously, just like we saw with the Blake Lively movie, is that not all the time is your friend going to listen to you, unfortunately. And so, and that's
keep trying.
Exactly. And that's the thing. And that's what we talked about that day, is that how much do you like, hey, you told them 5 times, this keeps happening, please leave. And they keep not leaving. Yeah. And she told her, she said, if you go back to my brother, I will never speak to you again. So that's what we talked about. When is the time? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But it's super tough, because obviously because if you're in a relationship like that, you shouldn't be there. Right. And obviously we try to justify with certain things, because obviously, like, even with me personally, when the girl had slapped, I stayed after that.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? And that was stupid. Hindsight is always 20/20.
After my situation, if there weren't other outside forces helping keeping me away, my first thing would have been to go and try and mend it.
Yeah.
100%.
Exactly.
We're human beings. We're not always correct. But that's why I'm thankful for the people that were around me that were like, no, pull you back. Come on, buddy. Yeah. And then even my best friend was like, no, she's never allowed back at the house. It was like a whole bunch of people around me stopping me from doing what my heart said I should do.
Yeah.
Which, super grateful for that. So that's why you got to have people around you that are going to know what to do better than what you're going to what you want to do in that point in time in your life.
Yeah. It's tough, so man. You're in it.
You got to give people tough love sometimes. And that's what my best friend is. That absolutely not. Yeah. And other people are like, no, absolutely not. You won't have a job. You know what I'm saying? You won't have a house. All this kind of stuff. It's like, nah, absolutely not. Yeah. So you got to have those kind of people around you. Once they see those kind of behaviors, if you're not going to get yourself out of it, you need somebody too. And if you're the kind of person that doesn't like confrontation like I am, then you're going to just, nah, let me fix it. I'll fix it. We'll smooth it out. Nah, because at the end of the day, what's going to change? We're going to get back into it. It's going to escalate.
Right.
One person go to jail. All right, now the other person going to jail. When that happens, all right, now weapons get involved. Whatever it may be. Now someone's life is gone. So you need to have those people around you to where they see that kind of behavior starting to happen. You got to get up out of there, because it's not love. It's just going to end very poorly. And the faster you end it, the faster you can be alone, sit with yourself, and start your healing process of what you went through.
Yeah, it's like we said, it's a tough situation. Obviously, when you are going through it, it's tough to get yourself out of it. So, you just have to do your best to be as strong as possible, because obviously you're going to tell yourself that you can do something better to make sure it doesn't happen again. And that's not always the case, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think with this one too is when you're getting into a relationship, you gotta really analyze the person and their qualities of how they act and react to the things that you do, the kind of person they are, how they treat their friends, family, the waiter at a restaurant. Like, figure out what kind of person they are before you fully open up and are vulnerable to them.
Right.
Which kind of goes away what I was saying in the previous one. But we already knew each other, so it was like different.
Right.
Once you already know them, then yeah. But like if let's say you're the kind of person that isn't going to walk away if you get vulnerable and deep with this person, then you need to be a little bit more guarded until you really understand, like, all right, this person isn't as bad as it seems. Or if it was like in my situation, you get into a relationship and then you already you feel like you're too far gone, and then like 3 months down the road, then something like that happens and you really don't want to get out of it. That's when it is even harder, because you're already fully invested.
Right.
You're doing all the things like being boyfriend and girlfriend, saying I love you, all that kind of stuff. Then you need to tell somebody so they can get you out of it. What I did, I didn't tell nobody. I ain't tell nobody. But I tell you what, it's so funny. I tell the story now. Like, the bedroom door, like, it got hit and there was like a little hole in it. And I put a little Apple sticker over it because it's white, just like the door is white. And my best friend was like, "What'd you do there?" I was like, "I was moving something and the edge hit the door." But obviously after the relationship over, I was like, "Nah, I was just under attack."
Yeah.
So don't do what I did, and just tell somebody, and they can give you a little bit more logical thing to do to get out of those kind of things. So if somebody's like that, they just got to heal. That's all. But
away from you.
Yeah, away from you. Love them from a distance. Love them from afar. Let them do their thing and let them heal. Yeah. And tell people so they can help you and give you a unemotional response to what you're going through. And they can pull you out of it, because you're not going to pull yourself out of it. They'll help you do that. And that's all I got to say on that.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts for you?
So just to kind of shed some light on this. So statistics show that in the U.S., about 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men have experienced severe physical violence from an intimate partner in their lifetime. So that's 25% of women and about 13% of men. So which means that if you walk in the street, you see 4 women, at least one of them has likely been a victim of something like that. And it says that more than 10 million adults experience some form of domestic violence annually, and nearly half of all women and men have experienced psychological aggression by an intimate partner. I say all that to say that this is very, very common. I remember that there was a point in my life where, because I came from a place and a family where this stuff wasn't unheard of. Maybe as a kid, I was just out of grown folk business. So I never heard about these things. But as I grew up, and I started to meet more people, especially meeting more girls, and I would hear about this a lot. And I'm like, I'm thinking that it's just my luck that I just keep running into girls who have had to deal with something like this. But in the reality, it's just something that's just so super common. And that's just such an unfortunate thing that everybody has to deal with.
Guys are way more jealous and controlling, and they got the LDE. So you guys got to work on that. If it's 25% of women, and then whatever the percentage is,
13%
men, man, that means that men are doing a terrible job.
Well, also women and women relationships are included in that as well. And then obviously, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but we'll still blame it on the guys.
Do better. Yeah, obviously. Yes, absolutely.
Do better, heal, read self-help books, man. Increase that emotional intelligence. Like, it's not being controlling. It's not what it is. Don't be jealous, controlling. Don't put hands on people. Don't verbally abuse. Right. Like, there's ain't no point, man. You're not in control of their life.
And it's not going to fix the situation. I can promise you that is never going to fix whatever the situation is.
The less you try and control her and control things, the more she's going to want to be around you anyways. Because you're doing what most people ain't doing.
Just be a chill guy.
And that's giving her space to be her. And that's what you got to do. That's the key. There you go. That's picking up women one-on-one, you let them do their thing. You let them do their thing, because how many guys are doing that? Most of them are being these controlling, jealous weirdos.
Picking up
and like,
women
you can't do that.
101.
You just let them do their thing. Don't control them. Be the cool guy. They're going to be like, oh, I really like this guy's energy. And come on right back.
Yeah, they like you until they do like you. Then they don't think you care enough. But that's a discussion for a different day.
Yeah. Hey, we are we about to be in May, so man, we halfway through the second quarter of the year.
Holy crap!
Yeah, reevaluate your goals. Reminder to reevaluate your goals. I've been doing yoga and dance classes. I'm about to be a smooth criminal out on the dance floor.
Oh yeah, you're gonna learn some. You're gonna learn some salsa.
I know bachata. I know bachata. Get out of here. Get out of here. We're good on those other projects I need to start focusing in on, because we're already about to be in May. Get up out of here.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are my final thoughts. I appreciate you guys tuning in. We are live every Saturday at 7 p.m.
Live like
EST.
Fox 5, baby.
So come join us, hang out with us, ask us some questions. We appreciate the questions and you guys watching, hanging out with us. We appreciate you guys watching the short film content. Is that what you call it?
Sure. Let's call it that. You can call it whatever you want, man.
Whatever. Short
YouTube shorts.
The YouTube shorts.
Or video.
The Instagram reels. Appreciate you guys watching them, liking them, commenting on them, sharing them, all of the above. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week.